The day they buried my grandmother, I thought I was burying my family with her. I stood at the edge of that grave in the rain. Black dress, borrowed umbrella, surrounded by cousins who hadn't looked at me in 3 days. Not since the will was read. Not since my uncle leaned across that dark mahogany table in the lawyer's office and said, quietly, like he was simply correcting a spelling mistake, "You're not one of us. You never were." And just like that, 31 years of Christmases, Thanksgivings, birthday cakes with my name written in frosting, erased. In a single sentence. In a room that smelled like old paper and somebody else's money. I drove home alone. 243 miles. I didn't cry. I couldn't. But 3 months later, I cried. Oh, I cried. Because a little white envelope arrived. Thin. Ordinary looking. The kind of thing you'd barely notice on a cluttered counter. It was my DNA results. And what was inside changed everything. My name is Maya. Maya Calloway, or at least, that's the name I've carried my whole life. I'm 31 years old. I grew up in a mid-sized town in rural Ohio, the only child of parents who divorced when I was 4. My mother remarried. My father, Richard Calloway, stayed in my life until he didn't. And my grandmother, Eleanor Calloway, was the one constant. The one person who always showed up. She taught me to make biscuits from scratch. She kept a box of my childhood drawings under her bed. She called me every Sunday at 7 p.m., no matter what. When she died, ovarian cancer, 11 months from diagnosis to burial, she left behind a house, a savings account, 3 antique quilts, and a family that had, apparently, been waiting for years for permission to let me go. I'm sharing this story because I know I'm not alone. Because secrets buried inside families have a way of surviving longer than the people who kept them. And because the truth, no matter how long it's been underground, has a habit of coming up. This is what happened to me. To understand what happened, you have to understand what the Calloway family looked like from the inside. On the surface, solid, respectable. The kind of family that sent Christmas cards with a group photo every year. Richard, my dad, was the eldest of 3 siblings. Then came Uncle Dale, who managed a hardware supply company in Dayton. And Aunt Patrice, the youngest, who married into money and never let anyone forget it. Grandma Eleanor was the center of gravity. She held everything together not by force, but by warmth. She cooked for everyone. She forgave everyone. She loved without condition, or so I believed. Richard and my mother split when I was 4. He remarried. Had 2 more kids, Tyler and Jess, who became my half-siblings, though we were never particularly close. But Grandma Eleanor never let that distance mean anything. I was hers. Full stop. I visited every summer. Every Thanksgiving. I mowed her lawn when I was 12. I drove 3 hours to sit with her through chemotherapy appointments when she got sick. I was there. I was present. I was family. Or so I thought. Grandma Eleanor died on a Tuesday in October. The will reading was scheduled for that Friday. I didn't think much of it. I wasn't expecting anything grand. Maybe the quilts. Maybe the biscuit recipe written in her handwriting. Maybe a small token that said, "I thought of you." I was not prepared for what I walked into. Dale and Patrice were already seated when I arrived. Tyler and Jess were there too, with their mother, Richard's second wife. Richard himself sat at the far end of the table, staring at a spot somewhere above the lawyer's head. Nobody greeted me. The lawyer, a thin man named Gerald who wore a tie slightly too tight for his neck, began reading. The house went to Dale. The savings account, roughly $80,000, was split between Tyler and Jess. The antique quilts went to Patrice. Various smaller items were distributed to cousins, neighbors, a local church. And then Gerald paused. He glanced at me over the rim of his glasses. "There is a notation here," he said carefully, regarding Maya Calloway. I sat up straight. He read, "To Maya, I leave the contents of the cedar chest in my bedroom closet. She will know what to do with what she finds inside." That was it. Patrice made a sound, small, sharp, like a laugh she swallowed. Dale crossed his arms. And Richard, my father, stood up slowly from his chair, placed both hands flat on the table and said, "Maya, there's something you need to know. You're not a Calloway. You never were. Your mother had an affair. Richard isn't your biological father. Grandma knew. We all knew. And now that she's gone, there's no reason to keep pretending." The room went quiet. I stood up. I left. I didn't say a word. 243 miles. No tears. It took me 2 weeks to go back for the cedar chest. I went on a Wednesday morning, early, when I knew nobody would be there. Dale had already changed the locks on the house, of course he had, but he'd left the chest on the porch, wrapped in a plastic top, tied with a bungee cord. Like it was garbage. I loaded it into my car and drove home. I didn't open it right away. I made tea. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, just looking at it. Inside the cedar chest, I found a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. 43 letters in total, written in my grandmother's handwriting, addressed to a man named Thomas Archer. Letters that spanned from 1962 to 1989. Love letters. Desperate, aching, heartbroken love letters. A black and white photograph of Grandma Eleanor at around 20 years old, laughing beside a tall man with dark eyes and a wide grin. On the back, in her handwriting, Tom and Ellie, Myrtle Beach, 1963. A folded document. An official record. A birth certificate, not mine. Richard's. And in the field marked Father, the name Thomas Archer. And then, underneath all of it, a sealed envelope. My name on the front. In her handwriting. I opened it. She had written, "My darling Maya, if you are reading this, then you know. Or at least, you are beginning to know. The truth is long. The truth is complicated. But the truth is yours. I have loved you without condition because love is not a matter of blood, but blood, my darling, has its own story to tell. Start with Thomas. Start at the beginning." I ordered the DNA test that same night. I'd seen the ads, everyone had. Spit in a tube, mail it back, wait 6 to 8 weeks. I wasn't expecting much. I wanted some kind of anchor. Some kind of fact to hold on to while everything else felt like sand shifting under my feet. I didn't tell anyone. Not my mother, who had, by then, confirmed the affair, confirmed that Richard was not my biological father, and confirmed that she had no idea who my biological father actually was. A brief thing, she called it. Ancient history. I was young. Ancient history. Right. I waited. I worked. I tried not to think about the letters, the photograph, the birth certificate sitting in the cedar chest in my closet. And then the results came. The thin white envelope. The ordinary one I told you about at the beginning. I opened it at my kitchen table at 7:43 on a Thursday morning. And the first thing I saw, before ethnicity breakdowns, before health reports, before any of the data I expected, was a flag. A notification. A DNA match. Close family match, predicted relationship, half-sibling or grandparent-grandchild. Match. 1,742 centimorgans. The name attached to the match was Daniel Archer. Age 58. Location: Asheville, North Carolina. Archer: Thomas Archer's son. Which meant, if the letters were what I thought they were, Richard wasn't just not my biological father. Thomas Archer might be my biological grandfather. And if Thomas Archer was Richard's biological father too, then Richard and I shared biological lineage that no one in that family had ever acknowledged. I sat with that for a very long time. Then I wrote Daniel Archer a message. He replied within 4 hours. Daniel Archer was not shocked to hear from me. He had been waiting. He said, in that first message, that his father Thomas had talked about Eleanor Calloway until the day he died in 2014. He said Thomas had always known there was a child, Richard, who he was never allowed to claim. He said the family had known for decades that Eleanor had a son she raised inside another man's name, inside another man's house. We talked on the phone for 2 hours that first night. He was warm, gentle-voiced. He laughed in a way that reminded me, and I know this sounds impossible, of Grandma Eleanor. We ran a second test. A more targeted one. The kind that map specific genetic relationships rather than general centimorgans. The results confirmed what the letters had already told me. Daniel Archer and I shared a paternal grandfather, Thomas Archer, which meant Richard, the man who raised me until he didn't, was my half-uncle, not my father. And Grandma Eleanor had always known, and had loved me anyway, completely, without ever once letting that complexity touch the way she held me. She left me the chest because she wanted me to find the truth. Not to punish Richard or Dale or Patrice. Not to claim the inheritance she knew they would never share with me. But because she believed I deserved to know where I came from. She left me the beginning of the real story. I want to be honest with you about how this ends. Because life doesn't resolve like a movie. Richard has not spoken to me. His children, Tyler and Jess, sent a joint text message 3 months after I contacted Daniel Archer. It said, "We heard. We don't really know what to say. But we don't think any of this was your fault." I cried at that text. More than I expected. Dale never reached out. Patrice sent a brief, cold email stating that as far as she was concerned, the will was settled and there was nothing further to discuss. And the $80,000, the house, the antique quilts, they're gone. I didn't fight it. I consulted with a lawyer. I'll be honest, I thought about it for a long time. But in the end, what I wanted was not the money. I wanted to understand who I am. And now I do. Or I'm beginning to. Daniel Archer and I have met in person twice. He has 3 kids, my biological cousins, I suppose, though that language still feels strange in my mouth. They welcomed me with a Sunday dinner and a homemade pie and more warmth than I knew how to receive. I still have the letters. All 43 of them. I've read each one twice. Thomas Archer was funny, fierce, and deeply in love with a woman he could never publicly claim. Grandma Eleanor was brave and heartbroken and complicated. She was human. Just human. And I love her for it. I share this story not for sympathy. Not for anger. I share it because I think a lot of people live inside families that have secrets at the foundation, and those secrets can do enormous damage when they surface, but they can also, sometimes, if you're patient and honest, lead you somewhere unexpected. They can lead you home. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever felt like an outsider in your own family, or if you're sitting with DNA results that don't match the story you were told, I want you to know, you are not alone. The truth is not always cruel. Sometimes, it's a cedar chest on a porch. Sometimes, it's a warm phone call from a stranger with your grandmother's laugh. If you found value in this story, please like, comment, and subscribe. New stories every week. I'll see you next time.